Ethan was a simple human farmer who lived far from the noisy city. His farm sat on a wide piece of land, surrounded by tall golden fields of wheat that moved slowly in the wind. The sun usually woke him up early, and the soft sounds of animals reminded him that every day had work waiting. He liked this life. It was quiet, clean, and peaceful. Ethan had lived on this farm since he was a child. His parents had owned it before him, and he had learned everything about farming from them. After they passed, the farm became his responsibility. At first, he was lonely, but over time he became used to the silence. He talked to his cows and horses as if they were his friends. Maybe it was funny, but it made him feel warm inside. It was a normal evening when everything changed. The sky was slowly turning orange. Ethan finished feeding the animals and closed the barn door. He was about to go back inside when he heard a strange noise. It was not the sound of wind, not the sound of any animal he knew. It was different. It was like something heavy falling from a great height. Then came a dull thud behind the barn. Ethan froze. What was that? He whispered to himself. He had never heard anything like it before. His first thought was that maybe a large branch had fallen from a tree, but there were no trees close enough to the barn for that to happen. His second thought was maybe a cow had kicked something over, but all the cows were inside the fence area on the other side. Curious and slightly nervous, Ethan picked up his old lantern and walked slowly toward the back of the barn. His boots pressed into the soft soil, making quiet crunching sounds. The air felt heavier than usual, as if it was waiting for something. When Ethan reached the back of the barn, he saw a long line in the ground, like something had slid across the soil. His eyebrows pulled together. He moved the lantern closer and saw that the mark was still fresh. The dirt was pushed aside, showing a small trail leading to one of the empty storage sheds. Something had crashed, and then moved. Ethan's heartbeat grew louder in his chest, but his curiosity was stronger than his fear. He stepped toward the storage shed, listening closely. The night was unusually quiet. Even the insects had stopped making their usual buzzing sound. Everything felt strange. As he reached the open doorway of the shed, he lifted the lantern higher. The warm yellow light slowly filled the inside. Boxes were knocked over. A few old tools lay scattered on the ground. Something had definitely disturbed the place. Then he heard it, a tiny sound, a soft, weak cry, like a small creature was trying to call for help. Ethan took one careful step forward. His heart raced. He moved the lantern slowly, letting the light reveal more of the room. And then he saw it. In the corner, behind a pile of old tires, something moved. A small head lifted slowly. Two large eyes glowed softly like shining stones. The creature had smooth, shimmering scales that reflected the lantern light. Its wings were small and folded tightly against its body. Its tail curled around itself like it was trying to stay warm. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. It was a baby dragon, but not like any dragon from stories. This one looked alien. Its body didn't match any reptile or bird from Earth. Its scales had tiny patterns that almost looked like they were glowing from within. Its eyes were bright but soft, full of confusion and fear. The small creature let out another soft cry. It sounded hungry, very hungry. Ethan stood still for a long moment. He didn't want to scare it. He slowly crouched down and placed the lantern on the floor so the light spread gently. He kept his hands open and moved slowly, showing he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said in a calm voice. "I won't hurt you." The dragon looked at him. Its eyes blinked slowly. It seemed unsure. Ethan could see its small body trembling. It looked exhausted, like it had been through something difficult. Then Ethan heard a loud growl. It came from the dragon's stomach. The small creature lowered its head and curled up tighter as if embarrassed. Ethan blinked. This creature was not dangerous. It was hungry, lost and scared. Ethan gently stood and stepped back. "Wait here," he said softly. "I'll bring something." He walked out of the shed and went to his kitchen. His mind spun with questions. How did a dragon land on his farm? Where did it come from? Was it from another world? Should he call someone? But when he remembered the creature's trembling body and sad eyes, he knew he couldn't just report it. Someone might take it away or harm it. He gathered fresh vegetables and fruits, carrots, apples, and some leftover grains. He placed everything carefully in a large bowl and carried it back to the shed. When he stepped inside again, the tiny dragon watched him with wide eyes. Ethan placed the bowl gently on the ground and pushed it a little forward. "It's food," he said softly. "You can eat it." The dragon sniffed the air. Slowly, it crawled out from behind the tires. It moved carefully, almost crawling like a nervous animal. It reached the bowl and sniffed again. Then suddenly, it began eating. It ate fast, very fast. Its small jaws moved quickly, and its tail wagged a little like a happy animal. Ethan watched quietly. The creature was starving. When it finished everything, it sat back and looked up at Ethan. Its eyes were softer now, calmer. It blinked once, almost like it was thanking him. Ethan smiled. "You're welcome," he said gently. The dragon yawned, showing small teeth that did not look dangerous yet. Then it curled up on the ground again. Ethan looked around the shed. It was cold and dusty. This was no place for a baby creature, even an alien one. "Wait here," Ethan said again. He went to the barn and brought an old blanket. He placed it gently near the dragon. The creature sniffed it, then curled up on it immediately, sinking into the soft cloth. Ethan sat beside it, keeping a little distance so the creature would not feel threatened. He watched the dragon slowly close its eyes. Its glowing scales dimmed slightly, becoming softer and more peaceful. Ethan felt something warm inside his chest. It was strange. Only minutes ago, he had never seen anything like this creature. Yet now he felt responsible for it. It was small, helpless, and alone. And it had come to his farm for a reason. He stayed there until the dragon fell asleep. The soft glow of its scales made the shed feel warmer. Ethan quietly stood up and walked out, closing the door just enough to keep the wind out, but leaving space for air to flow. He walked back to his house, but his thoughts stayed in the shed. "I guess I have a guest tonight," he whispered with a small smile. He did not know that this night was the beginning of something big, something far beyond anything he had ever imagined, something that would connect him to worlds he had never heard of, something that would show what a human farmer could do when faced with the unknown. As Ethan prepared for sleep, he glanced out the window. The sky was dark and silent, but somewhere out there, farther than the human eye could see, someone, or something, was probably looking for the small glowing creature resting in his shed. He had no idea that feeding a lonely alien baby dragon would change his life forever. Ethan woke up earlier than usual the next morning. The sun had not fully risen yet, and the sky still carried the soft blue of dawn. He rubbed his eyes and stretched his arms, but his mind was already wide awake. The memory of last night rushed back, the strange sound, the crash, and then the tiny glowing dragon curled up on the blanket. Ethan stood up and hurried to put on his boots. He didn't even make coffee, something he never skipped in the morning. Today was different. Something new was on his farm, something that didn't belong to Earth. He walked across the field, the cool morning breeze brushing against his face. The world felt quiet and gentle. Even the animals were calm, as if they sensed something unusual but harmless was nearby. When Ethan reached the storage shed, he paused at the door. He didn't want to startle the creature. He slowly pushed the door open. Inside, the soft glow from the baby dragon filled the dim room. The creature was still sleeping, its small body curled tightly on the blanket Ethan had given. The scales shimmered faintly, as if lit from within. Its wings twitched slightly with each breath, like tiny feathers moving in a dream. Ethan smiled without realizing it. He stepped inside quietly, set the lantern on a wooden box, and crouched down. The dragon's breathing was light and peaceful. It looked safe, warm, and calm. Ethan felt relieved. At least the creature had survived the night. As he watched, the dragon's eyes suddenly opened. Two bright, soft lights stared at him. The creature lifted its head a little, blinked twice, and let out a small sound that almost resembled a greeting. "Good morning," Ethan said softly. The dragon slowly stretched, its tiny wings spreading a little before folding again. It stood on its four legs, shaking off sleep just like a small pet. Then it walked toward Ethan and sniffed his boot with curiosity. Ethan chuckled. "So, you're not scared of me anymore?" The dragon tilted its head, staring at him as if studying every movement he made. Then, surprisingly, it tried to copy him. When Ethan sat down on the floor, the creature sat too. When Ethan raised a hand, the dragon lifted its front leg. "You're a smart one," he said with a warm smile. Its stomach growled again, loud and long. "Ah, hungry again," Ethan said, standing up. "I'll bring breakfast." He left the shed quickly to collect more food. This time he brought apples, some grain, and a bit of milk in a small bowl. He didn't know what the creature liked, but he hoped it would enjoy something. When he placed the food down, the dragon immediately began eating. It tried everything: fruits, grains, even the milk. It made happy sounds as it ate. Watching it eat made Ethan feel lighter. The creature wasn't just surviving, it was getting stronger. When the dragon finished, it walked toward Ethan and gently nudged his hand with its head. "You're thanking me, huh?" Ethan said softly. The dragon made a soft, chirping sound. Ethan looked around the shed. The creature couldn't live here forever. The room was cold at night and too dusty. It needed warmth, safety, and space to move. He gently lifted the baby dragon's head and said, "Come with me. I'll show you a better place." The dragon blinked and followed him without hesitation. Ethan led it to the main barn where the animals lived. He chose an empty corner and set up a soft bed using blankets and old hay. The barn was warmer, cleaner, and safer than the shed. "This is your new spot," Ethan said proudly. The dragon looked around the barn, sniffed the air, and made a happy humming sound. Then it lay down on the new bed and curled up comfortably. Ethan watched it and felt something new, a bond forming, like a silent friendship. Hours passed. Ethan worked on the farm, but the dragon followed him everywhere. When he repaired the fence, the dragon tried to drag small sticks toward him, helping in its own way. When he planted seeds in the field, the creature watched closely, as if trying to learn his routine. Ethan laughed many times that afternoon. "You're really trying to be a farmer, aren't you?" The dragon chirped loudly, almost proudly. Its tiny wings fluttered even though it still couldn't lift its body. Every time Ethan moved, the dragon tried to copy him. The way Ethan bent to pick something, the dragon bent too. When Ethan stretched his back, the dragon stretched its little neck. It was adorable. As the sun climbed high, Ethan noticed something interesting. The dragon's glow changed color slightly when it was happy, turning into a warm golden shade. When it was curious, the glow turned pale blue. It was like the creature's emotions painted its scales. Ethan found it fascinating. During lunch, Ethan sat on the wooden steps of the porch. The dragon sat right beside him, leaning lightly against his leg. Ethan gave it a piece of bread, and the creature carefully held it between its tiny claws before nibbling. "You're different from any animal I've ever seen," Ethan said softly. "You don't act wild. You act kind." The dragon looked up at him with gentle eyes, then placed its head on his knee. Ethan froze for a moment. He felt something warm in his chest, a tiny spark of emotion he hadn't felt in a long time. "You trust me?" he whispered. The dragon chirped again. The afternoon passed peacefully. The dragon played with fallen leaves, chased small insects, and tried to flap its wings high enough to fly, but it only jumped a few inches before landing softly. Each time it fell, it shook its head like it was determined to try again. "You'll fly one day," Ethan said, "just not yet." Later that evening, when the sun began to set, Ethan finished his work and returned to the barn. The baby dragon followed him closely, staying right at his heel. But as they stepped inside, something caught Ethan's eye. Footprints, not the dragon's footprints. These were larger, deeper, and spread in a strange pattern across the barn floor. Ethan crouched down and examined them closely. The prints were not from any earth animal. They were too wide, with too many toes, and the spacing between them was unusual. Ethan felt a small chill run through him. "Someone was here," he whispered. The dragon walked beside him and sniffed the footprints. Its scales shifted from warm gold to pale blue. Fear. The dragon stepped closer to Ethan's leg, hiding slightly behind him. Ethan gently touched its head. "It's okay. I'm here." But his mind raced. If these prints were not from Earth, then someone, or something, else had come to his farm, maybe looking for the dragon. He looked outside. The sky was dark now, and tiny stars appeared one by one. The night was quiet, but Ethan felt something in the air, something hidden, something watching. The thought made him uneasy. "Don't worry," Ethan whispered to the dragon. "I won't let anything hurt you." The dragon made a soft sound and pressed against his leg again. Ethan walked to the barn door and locked it gently. Then he checked all the windows, making sure they were closed. He didn't know what was out there, but he wanted to protect the creature at all costs. Later, after the dragon curled up to sleep on its soft bed, Ethan stayed awake a little longer. He sat on a wooden stool, watching the small creature's gentle breathing. The soft glow calmed him. But the strange footprints stayed in his mind. He remembered the bright lights he had seen in the sky 2 nights ago, lights that moved too fast to be airplanes. He had ignored them, but now they didn't feel random anymore. Someone was searching. Someone knew the baby dragon was here, and they were getting closer. Ethan exhaled slowly. He looked at the sleeping creature and whispered, "Don't worry, you're safe here." But deep inside, he knew the quiet farm life he loved was changing. Something big was coming, something from beyond Earth. And because Ethan had fed a hungry alien baby dragon, he was now part of it. The next night was unusually quiet. The wind barely moved the leaves in the trees surrounding Ethan's farm, and the usual sounds of crickets and owls were absent. Ethan stood at the edge of the field, looking up at the sky. The stars shone brightly, but there was something strange about them tonight. A few points of light moved faster than normal, blinking softly in patterns that didn't belong to any plane or satellite he had ever seen. Ethan's mind went back to the strange footprints from yesterday. His stomach tightened. Whatever had left them might be returning, and he realized with a mixture of fear and excitement that it might be looking for the baby dragon. Back in the barn, the little dragon, Flare, slept curled up on its soft bed. The gentle glow of its scales cast a warm light around the barn. Ethan watched it for a few minutes, brushing his hand over its tiny head. Flare stirred slightly but did not wake, trusting him completely. Suddenly, a soft humming noise filled the air. It was faint at first, but quickly grew louder. Ethan's heart raced. He froze, listening carefully. The noise was different from anything on Earth, mechanical, yet smooth, almost alive. It wasn't a vehicle he had seen before. Ethan backed toward the barn, gently picking up Flare. "Shh." "It's okay," he whispered. "I've got you." Outside, a soft glow appeared on the horizon. At first, it looked like a small moon descending, but then it became clear. A ship, alien in design, landed just beyond the edge of his fields. It hovered quietly above the ground, lights moving along its smooth surface. The hum was steady, like a heartbeat. Ethan's hands shook slightly as he held Flare. He had never imagined anything like this. The ship's door opened, and 3 figures stepped out. They were tall and thin, wearing sleek suits that glowed faintly in the dark. Their eyes were large and luminous. Ethan froze. One of them stepped forward and raised a hand. "Humyn," it said in perfect English, though the voice had a musical tone. "Do not be afraid. We are looking for a baby dragon. It is one of our kind. We mean no harm." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. You're looking for Flare?" he asked quietly. The alien nodded. "Yes, it escaped during a travel incident. Our species is rare and this dragon is important, but it is alone and frightened. We wish to return it safely." Ethan looked down at Flare, who stirred in his arms. The little dragon blinked slowly and pressed its small head against his chest, refusing to leave. Ethan realized the truth. Flare had a home somewhere far beyond Earth, but it didn't want to leave him. I can't just give him to you," Ethan said softly. "He's been with me for 2 days. He trusts me. He's like family." The alien stepped closer but kept its tone calm. "We understand the bond between humans and our young. We do not wish to force the dragon. But time is short. The planet's atmosphere is not suitable for long. We must return it soon." Ethan's mind raced. He wanted to protect Flare, but he also understood that this dragon belonged somewhere else, somewhere it could be safe. He had grown attached in ways he didn't expect. The little dragon had brought warmth, life, and wonder to his quiet farm. He gently set Flare down on the barn floor. The dragon looked up at him, soft golden glow filling the room. Then it turned its eyes toward the approaching aliens, wings trembling slightly. It was caught between 2 worlds, its true home and the human who had cared for it. "Flare," Ethan said softly, "they want to take you home, but you don't have to go if you don't want to." The dragon chirped softly, looking back at him, its tail curled around his feet. Ethan understood. The creature didn't want to leave, at least not yet. But it also seemed to know it could not stay forever. It was conflicted, confused, and scared. The aliens stepped closer, careful not to frighten Flare. "We can give the dragon time," one said, "but hiding it from us will not protect it for long. We need your cooperation, Humyn." Ethan nodded slowly. "I'll cooperate," he said, "but I want to understand. Where does it belong? Who are you?" The aliens exchanged a brief look. "We are caretakers of our kind," the first one said. "Our species travels between planets to protect young dragons and ensure their survival. This baby is special. It holds energy that will be important for our home planet's ecosystem. It is small, but strong." Ethan tried to process the information. Traveling between planets? Protecting young dragons? Energy important to a planet? It was more than he could comprehend. Yet as he looked at Flare, it made sense. The little dragon was not just an animal, it was extraordinary. Before he could respond, another soft hum reached the edge of the farm. Ethan turned his head and his stomach dropped. Another ship had landed, hidden behind the trees. This one was darker, less smooth, more aggressive in appearance. Its lights flickered sharply, scanning the surroundings. The aliens noticed immediately. "Danger," the first one said, their tone sharper. "Others have come. They do not wish to return the dragon safely." Ethan felt his pulse quicken. He tightened his grip on Flare, who hissed softly, glowing brighter with fear. Its wings lifted slightly, ready to protect itself, though it was small and vulnerable. The new group of aliens moved quickly, scanning the barn. Their voices were harsh, mechanical, not like the first group. They were hunters, here for capture and profit, not safety. Ethan realized the danger immediately. "We need to hide him," he whispered to the first group. The caretakers nodded. Ethan gently placed Flare behind a stack of hay and old crates. "Stay," he said softly. The dragon obeyed, huddling quietly. Its glow dimmed to soft blue like a tiny signal for safety. Ethan turned to the aliens outside. "You won't touch him," he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. The hostile aliens scanned him but ignored him. Their focus was the dragon. Ethan's heart pounded. He looked at the caretakers, who floated slightly off the ground with calm precision, their energy softly glowing around them. "Protect him at all costs," Ethan whispered. The caretakers nodded. Their presence felt reassuring, almost like a shield surrounding the barn. The hunters moved closer, scanning, trying to detect any energy signatures. Ethan quickly led the caretakers around the barn. "They can't see him if we block their scans," he said. "Follow me." They moved silently. Ethan guided them through small trenches he had dug for irrigation, behind tall stacks of hay, and along narrow paths between the farm's wooden fences. He was amazed at how instinctively the caretakers followed, their glowing forms bending slightly as they adjusted to the terrain. Meanwhile, inside the barn, Flare stayed as still as possible. Its small body trembled, but it trusted Ethan. Every sound from outside made it curl tighter, glowing brighter when danger drew near, then softening when calm returned. After a tense few minutes, the caretakers nodded at Ethan. "The hunters will not detect him now," one said, "but they will not give up easily. You must prepare." Ethan took a deep breath. "Prepare how? I'm just a farmer." "You have knowledge of this land," another caretaker said. "Use it. Obstacles, trenches, tools. Your home can be a shield." Ethan's mind raced. He realized he could use everything he had learned about farming to protect Flare. Water channels could slow movement, fences could block paths, tractors and old equipment could act as barriers. Even the uneven soil could confuse sensors. He smiled slightly. For the first time, he felt the thrill of adventure. This wasn't just farming anymore. It was protection, strategy, and survival. And he was not alone. Flare was counting on him, and so were the caretakers. Hours passed. The hostile aliens scanned, moved, and searched. But every time they approached, Ethan's makeshift defenses delayed them. Small ditches filled with water reflected light, confusing their sensors. Old barns and stacks of hay blocked paths. Ethan led the caretakers quietly, guiding them to intercept where necessary. Flare remained hidden, glowing softly but safely. Finally, the hostile group moved back, frustrated and cautious. They had not captured the dragon, and they did not know where it was. The caretakers breathed a soft sigh of relief. Ethan gently released Flare from the haystack. The small dragon's glow brightened as it nuzzled his leg. Ethan bent down, brushing his hand along its shimmering scales. "You're safe for now," he whispered. The caretakers hovered nearby, calm and precise. "You have done well," one said. "The bond between you and this young dragon is unusual. It has strengthened him. That bond will matter in the days to come." Ethan looked down at Flare. The little dragon blinked up at him, soft golden glow filling the barn. Ethan realized something. It wasn't just the caretakers or the traps that had kept him safe. It was the trust between him and the dragon. That trust was a shield stronger than any barrier or weapon. Outside, the stars twinkled in the quiet night. Ethan knew this was only the beginning. The universe was larger and more mysterious than he had ever imagined. And because he had chosen to feed a hungry alien baby dragon, his simple farm life had changed forever. The next morning, Ethan awoke to the soft golden light streaming through the barn windows. For a moment, he felt a strange peace. Flare, the small alien dragon, slept curled up on its bed of hay and blankets, the gentle glow of its scales filling the room with warmth. Ethan smiled as he watched the little creature breathe softly, but the peaceful morning did not last long. Outside, a faint hum vibrated through the air, softer than yesterday's alarms, but still unfamiliar. Ethan's stomach tightened. He stepped toward the barn door and peeked outside. The horizon was already bright with sunlight, but shadows moved unnaturally. Another ship had landed in the field beyond the trees. The hostile group had returned. Ethan felt a chill. This time they were not cautious. Their movements were swift, precise, and their scanning lights flickered aggressively across the fields. Ethan's mind raced. "Flare," he whispered, "we have to hide again. Stay calm." Flare stirred, lifting its small head. Its golden glow flickered uncertainly, as if reading Ethan's thoughts. It let out a soft whine but remained still, trusting him. Ethan quickly scanned the farm for hiding places. The old silo at the far end of the field came to mind. Its interior was dark and cramped, perfect for concealing a small creature. He picked up Flare carefully and ran toward the silo. The dragon wriggled slightly but did not resist. Its glowing scales dimmed to a soft blue, a natural camouflage in dark corners. When they reached the silo, Ethan placed Flare inside. "Stay here. Don't move," he whispered. The dragon crouched low, curling its tail around itself. Ethan could see its tiny wings tremble slightly, but it obeyed. Ethan stepped outside to confront the danger. His heart pounded, but he reminded himself. He had knowledge of this land. The hostile aliens were not familiar with his farm. That gave him an advantage. He grabbed a few old planks and fences, throwing them across the open paths. He pulled ropes and tied them to stakes, creating a maze that would slow the invaders. He filled the irrigation trenches with water, reflecting sunlight in sharp angles to confuse sensors. Every move was deliberate. Ethan had learned from the previous night, and he was determined to protect Flare at all costs. The hostile aliens approached cautiously, scanning. But Ethan's defenses slowed them. They were precise. Yet the farm's uneven terrain and small obstacles frustrated them. They exchanged short, harsh words, scanning for energy traces. Ethan hid behind a wooden crate, heart racing. Then he saw Flare's golden glow flicker from the top of the silo. The dragon had climbed slightly to peek, curious despite its fear. Ethan held up a hand. "Stay down," he whispered. The dragon's glow dimmed, obedient again. The fight between strategy and instinct continued. Ethan led the invaders toward ditches, causing them to hesitate and trip over obstacles. They used scanning devices to locate Flare, but Ethan blocked paths with crates and farm equipment. The alien caretakers hovered nearby, silently assisting him by creating temporary energy barriers to confuse the hostile sensors. But the danger escalated quickly. One of the hunters spotted Ethan. "Human detected!" a mechanical voice barked. A flash of light from their scanning tool illuminated Ethan's position. Ethan ran, ducking behind a pile of hay. He could hear Flare whimper softly from the silo, anxious. He had to protect it. He grabbed an old tractor and pushed it to block the open path. The machine's weight and size caused the invaders to hesitate. Then something extraordinary happened. Flare, small and vulnerable, flapped its wings and released a soft burst of energy from its mouth. It was not fire in the human sense, more like a pulse of glowing energy that shot forward in a wave. The hostile aliens staggered, their sensors overloaded for a moment. Flare had contributed to its own protection. Ethan's heart raced with pride and worry. "Good job, Flare. But be careful," he whispered. The dragon chirped happily. unaware of the full danger but thrilled to help. The caretakers moved in, their forms glowing softly as they hovered around Ethan. "You are doing well," one said. "The dragon responds to your courage. This bond is powerful. Use it wisely." Ethan nodded, his mind racing. He realized that the bond between him and Flare was more than emotional. It was a kind of energy connection. Flare seemed stronger near him, braver. It understood his intentions, and Ethan, in turn, felt a confidence he had never known before. The hostile aliens tried again, moving closer to the silo. Ethan quickly grabbed long poles and tied ropes to make a makeshift trap. When the invaders approached, they triggered the mechanism, causing crates and loose barrels to tumble and block the path. One of the hunters stumbled, giving Ethan and the caretakers time to act. Ethan ran to the silo entrance, picking up Flare carefully. "Come on, we have to move," the dragon chirped, excited and nervous. Ethan carried it through hidden pathways he had prepared, using small trenches and the edges of the field to avoid detection. The caretakers moved in formation with him, their glowing energy creating soft barriers that redirected the invaders. Ethan felt like a general leading a small but determined force. Every move counted. Every second mattered. Finally, they reached a safe spot behind a grove of trees at the edge of the farm. Ethan placed Flare gently on the ground. The dragon stood, glowing softly, its wings fluttering. It looked at him with trusting eyes. Ethan knelt beside it. "You're okay," he whispered. "You're safe now." The caretakers floated nearby, their glowing forms illuminating the grove. "The danger has passed, for now," one said. "But you must decide, Humyn. The dragon cannot stay here forever. Its true home awaits." Ethan looked down at Flare. The little dragon tilted its head and nuzzled his hand. Its golden glow filled the area, warm and comforting. Ethan realized what the caretakers meant. Flare belonged somewhere far beyond Earth, but it didn't want to leave him. Ethan took a deep breath. "Flare, you have a choice. You can stay with me, or you can go home. I won't force you either way." Flare looked at him with wide, luminous eyes. Then, slowly, it flapped its wings and let out a soft chirp. It was clear. It wanted to stay for now, but it also knew something more awaited. Ethan smiled softly. "Okay," he whispered. "We'll figure this out together." The caretakers nodded approvingly. "The choice is wise," one said. "But know this, the galaxy is vast. Others may come for the dragon. Protect it, teach it, guide it. Its strength is connected to your courage." Ethan felt a surge of determination. He realized that this was no longer just a farm. It was a battlefield, a sanctuary, and a home for a creature far beyond Earth. And it was his responsibility to protect it, teach it, and keep it safe. Hours passed. Ethan, Flare, and the caretakers stayed hidden in the grove. The hostile aliens retreated, scanning the fields from a distance but avoiding direct contact. For now, the immediate danger was gone. Ethan used the time to check Flare's small injuries from yesterday's minor scuffle, making sure the dragon was unharmed. Flare chirped softly as Ethan gently brushed its scales. The glowing patterns on its skin shifted as it relaxed, a sign that it trusted him completely. Ethan realized something important. The dragon's strength and courage were connected to the bond they shared. The more he cared, the stronger it became. Night fell again, and the grove was bathed in soft moonlight. Flare curled up beside Ethan, resting its head on his knee. Ethan sat quietly, thinking about the choice that lay ahead. He knew that eventually the dragon would have to leave. Its true home was somewhere in the stars, and its destiny was far bigger than his farm. But for now, they were together, and that was enough. Ethan looked up at the sky, the stars twinkling in patterns he didn't understand. Somewhere far beyond his vision, others were watching, searching, but he felt ready. He was no longer just a farmer. He was a protector, a teacher, and a friend, and he would do everything to keep Flare safe until the day came to make the ultimate choice. The little dragon chirped softly and nuzzled him again, glowing golden in the moonlight. Ethan smiled and whispered, "We'll face it together, Flare. Whatever comes next." And somewhere, beyond the farm, in the vast reaches of space, the galaxy waited, watching the bond between a human farmer and an alien baby dragon, a bond that could change everything. The dawn broke gently over Ethan's farm, painting the fields in soft shades of orange and gold. Birds began to chirp, and the wind rustled the wheat as if nothing unusual had ever happened. But Ethan knew better. The past few days had changed his life forever. The quiet farm he had loved so much had become a battlefield, a sanctuary, and a bridge between worlds. Flare, the little alien dragon, stirred in its soft bed near the barn. Its golden scales glimmered faintly as it opened its wide eyes. Ethan had stayed close all night, keeping watch, feeling the small creature's warmth and trust radiate through him. Today, Ethan knew, was the day he would face the hardest decision of his life. Flare's caretakers had arrived again, their glowing forms hovering near the edge of the farm. They looked calm, but serious. They had given Ethan time to bond with the dragon, but the moment had come for Flare to choose. Ethan crouched beside Flare, brushing his hand along the smooth, shimmering scales. The dragon tilted its head and chirped softly, its wings twitching slightly. Ethan smiled, though a pang of sadness tugged at him. "I'm proud of you," he whispered. "You've grown so much in just a few days, but now your true home is waiting." Flare looked up at him, eyes bright and soft, as if it understood every word. Ethan felt a lump in his throat. How could a creature so small, so fragile, feel so much emotion? He realized that their bond was more than friendship. It was a connection of trust, respect, and care that went beyond words. The caretakers approached slowly, their soft, glowing forms illuminating the morning light. "Humyn," one said gently, "the time has come. The dragon's home planet requires his presence. The journey is safe and he will be protected. But the decision is his." Ethan nodded slowly, swallowing hard. "I understand, but I hope he doesn't forget me." The caretaker's voice was gentle. "He will not. Bonds like yours endure across distances, even across stars." Ethan looked at Flare, who stepped closer to him. Its tiny head nudged his hand, glowing a soft, warm gold. It seemed to hesitate, torn between two worlds, the familiar human who had fed it, cared for it, and protected it, and the unknown galaxy waiting for it beyond the skies. Ethan knelt down. "Flare," he said softly, "I won't stop you from going home. But if you want, you can stay a little longer. The choice is yours." The little dragon blinked slowly. Its wings fluttered lightly. Then, unexpectedly, it curled around Ethan's arm, pressing its small body against him. Ethan felt tears prick his eyes. Flare was not ready to leave. Not yet. But it trusted him enough to show its decision in its own way. The caretakers hovered silently, waiting patiently. They understood that the bond between Ethan and Flare was unusual. Rare, even. And they respected it. Just then, a hum vibrated through the air. Ethan looked up and saw another ship approaching in the distance, the hostile group from before. They had not given up. They were coming for Flare once more. Ethan's heart pounded. "Flare," he whispered, "we're not done yet, but we'll face them together." Flare's glow brightened, pulsing like a heartbeat. It chirped softly, its small wings lifting slightly. Ethan realized that despite being tiny, Flare was not defenseless. The dragon had grown stronger, braver, and more confident since arriving at the farm. The hostile aliens landed closer, scanning aggressively. Their mechanical voices shouted commands, but they were cautious. They had learned from previous encounters that this Humyn and his strange allies were not easy to overcome. Ethan turned to the caretakers. "What do we do?" he asked. "Use your land," one said. "You know it best. Protect the dragon until he chooses. Then we will depart." Ethan nodded and instinct took over. He led Flare toward the center of the field, using trenches, fences, and piles of hay as obstacles. Flare followed willingly, staying close to his side. The dragon's golden glow provided reassurance, a light of courage in the face of danger. The hostile aliens advanced carefully, but Ethan's preparations slowed them. He had set up reflective water channels, hidden ditches, and narrow paths between stacks of farm equipment. Every move he had practiced before now became critical. Flare, sensing the danger, let out a soft pulse of energy. The light expanded outward, momentarily blinding the hunters and confusing their scanning devices. Ethan marveled at the dragon's instinct to protect itself, and him. "Good job, Flare," Ethan whispered. "We can do this together." The caretakers moved alongside them, their glowing forms acting as shields and barriers. The hostile aliens tried to adapt, but every time they approached, Ethan used his knowledge of the terrain to block, mislead, and protect. Minutes stretched into hours, and finally, the hostile aliens retreated. They had not captured Flare and did not know where he was hidden. For now, the farm was safe again. Ethan knelt beside Flare, brushing his hand over its glowing scales. "You were amazing," he said softly. "I couldn't have done it without you." Flare chirped happily, nudging his hand. Its wings flapped lightly in excitement. Ethan laughed, feeling a surge of warmth and pride. He realized that the dragon was not just a creature to protect. It was a friend, a companion, and a part of his life. The caretakers hovered nearby, their voices calm. "The bond between you has strengthened him. But now, Humyn, the final choice awaits. Will he return to his world?" Ethan looked at Flare, who blinked slowly, eyes filled with trust and love. He knew the answer had to come from the dragon, not from him. He whispered softly, "It's your choice, Flare. Go home, or stay. Whatever you decide, I will respect it." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, Flare stepped forward toward the caretakers. Its glow brightened, warm and golden. It chirped softly, looking back at Ethan one last time. It pressed its small head against his hand, a silent promise that it would never forget him. Ethan felt tears slip down his cheeks. "Go," he whispered. "Go home, little one." The caretakers approached gently. Flare climbed onto their soft, glowing platform. The dragon looked back again at Ethan, then let out a small, joyful chirp. The caretakers nodded, understanding the bond between human and dragon. Ethan watched as the platform rose, carrying Flare into the sky. The small creature's golden glow lit up the morning, leaving a trail of light behind. Ethan felt a mix of sadness and pride. He had protected Flare, taught it, and loved it, and now he was letting it go to fulfill its destiny. The dragon disappeared into the clouds, and the caretakers followed. Their voices spoke one last message to Ethan. "You have done well, Humyn. Your courage and kindness have left a lasting mark. The dragon will remember you." Ethan watched until the ships vanished into the distance. The farm felt quiet again, empty in a way it had never been before. But as he stood there, a small, glowing stone fell at his feet, a gift from the caretakers. He picked it up. The stone pulsed softly with light. A warm sensation spread through his hands. He realized it was a connection, a way for Flare to send thoughts, a small reminder that no matter how far apart they were, their bond remained. Ethan smiled, feeling comforted. "You're safe," he whispered, "and you'll never forget me, little one. I'll never forget you." Days passed. Life on the farm slowly returned to its quiet rhythm. Ethan tended to the animals, repaired fences, and worked in the fields. Yet every now and then, the glowing stone pulsed softly in his hand. He would hold it and imagine Flare flying among the stars, happy and strong. And sometimes at night, when the sky was clear, Ethan swore he could see a small golden glow in the distance, moving among the stars. He knew it was Flare, sending a reminder that their friendship and trust were eternal. Ethan realized that feeding a hungry, helpless alien baby dragon had changed his life in ways he could never have imagined. He had discovered courage, responsibility, and the power of trust. He had learned that even a simple human on a small farm could protect, nurture, and influence beings from across the galaxy. The farm was still his, the animals still his companions, and the work still the same. But something had shifted. Ethan now knew that the universe was larger, stranger, and more wonderful than he had ever dreamed. And he had left his mark on it through love, courage, and a bond that would stretch across the stars. Flare was gone from the farm, but its presence remained, in the glowing stone, in Ethan's heart, and in the memory of every night they had shared. Ethan knelt in the field one evening, holding the glowing stone. He whispered softly, "Goodbye, little one, until we meet again." And somewhere, far above Earth, Flare's golden glow pulsed in response, a tiny light in the vast galaxy saying the same words, "Until we meet again." The story of a human farmer and an alien baby dragon ended on this quiet note, full of courage, hope, and a bond that spanned the stars.